the ranch, Victor complains about Jill giving Kane the benefit of the doubt. As Nikki points out, he's still being deceitful after all these years. Jill is baffled that Victor thinks he can change her mind about him. They go over Kane threatening everyone in town, and Jill insists he's backed off. There isn't going to be a war, she confidently declares. The Newmans, totally unconvinced, tell Jill that she clearly doesn't know how Kane built his empire. The real story isn't pretty. Jill informs them that Colin turned over legitimate businesses to Kane, and they did very well. Victor chuckles at the idea that Atkinson was reformed. Nikki tells her the chateau in Nice was swindled from the DeLeon family. Victor says it was Colin's last job, and there's no way Kane didn't know about it, or even participate in it. Jill doesn't want to believe this, of course, but Victor claims to have a letter from Madame DeLeon to one of Colin's aliases. Jill, sticking her chin out, says letters can be forged. Victor warns she's backing the wrong horse if she backs Kane. Jill insists Kane wouldn't lie to her. Getting to the point, Victor says Ashby trusts her. They need her to get the AI software. Jill, amused, figures Victor wants her to then turn it over to him. Jack shows up at the Kane train, and Ashby says he's been expecting him. Taking in his casual clothing, Jack surmises it was a rough night and that his conscience is kicking in and giving him a hard time. They get into it about why Ashby played carrot and stick with Billy. Jack takes Kane to task for being cruel to Billy and points out he also has unhealthy obsessions. Kane admits he and Billy are too much alike. He tells Jack that he's decided to give it all up. He's reconsidering who he wants to be. Jack doesn't believe anything Ashby says. Kane insists he's resetting. Jack says, "Prove it. Get rid of this software program. Destroy it and bury it forever." Kane, smirking, wonders who would oversee that. "Do you have somebody in mind, Jack?" Jack replies, "As a matter of fact, I do. Me." Highly amused and still smirking, Kane doesn't trust Jack to destroy it either. He might want to use it against Victor. Jack says he and the mustache on the same page these days. Kane muses that he could give it to Phyllis or Billy. That would be fun. Jack sniffs that no one is having fun. Kane points out they all have their own agendas, just as they're accusing him of doing. Jack suggests there is one person Kane could trust, Jill. Ashby chuckles. This is why Jack summoned her back to town, isn't it? Turning serious, Kane declares he's not a monster and only wanted Chancellor in the first place to forge peace between Billy and Jill for her sake. Jack's skeptical, but Kane shrugs that it's the truth. They debate whether Billy would have destroyed the company. Kane tells Jack he realized Billy was too erratic to take on what he was offering. Jack doesn't like this, but Kane points out he turned his back on Billy as well and said, "Enough is enough." At the park, Tessa and Daniel debate how Sharon will handle the truth about Mariah. Daniel assures her she's strong. Tessa flips to worrying about Mariah being in danger from the man she attacked. Daniel reminds her the man can't get to her in the clinic. Tessa muses, "Maybe we need to get to him first." Daniel is skeptical about approaching Hensley and points out Mariah may not be the only one in danger. Tessa realizes he could figure out who she is and pouts that it was a dumb idea. She fumes, "This is so frustrating!" Daniel wishes Chance was around to give them advice. Tessa rants that Mariah's being haunted by Ian Ward from beyond the grave. How do you deal with a man that's not even there? They pace around as Tessa rambles about wanting to know what happened in that room. Daniel warns her to stay grounded. Tessa decides she needs to see Mariah and tell her she knows what happened. Daniel worries Mariah may refuse to see her, and Tessa will be disappointed. She's undeterred, and Daniel admits she's a force. As he lists off her other attributes, his feelings surface. Swallowing them back, he tells Tessa he's rooting for a happy ending for them. At the ranch, we're still on the AI software, as Jill surmises that Victor wants her to get it from Kane and hand it over to him. Victor smoothly assures her it would protect Chancellor from attack. Jill astutely points out it would give him immense power. She walks out after Victor agrees to email her a copy of the DeLeon letter. Outside, she grimaces. Inside, Victor tells Nikki he expects Jill will run right to Jack Abbott. He'll confirm Kane's a threat and tell her they have a solution. Nikki wants to know if Victor will destroy the AI software. Victor just needs Kane to believe he's destroyed it. Nikki asks if he's planning to use it against Jabot. Did he team up with Jack so he could put a knife in his back? Victor chuckles. At the park, Tessa goes over all the ways Daniel's been there for her. He's just happy he could do it. Tessa, touching his arm, says he's been more than just a friend. You've been my best friend. She pulls him into an embrace. On the Kane train, Jack thinks Ashby can understand his complicated dynamic with Billy, given that he forgave Colin. Kane insists his father changed. Jill walks in and Kane says she saw it too. Jill asks to speak to Kane alone. Jack wants to have a conversation. Jill wonders if he'll try to fill her head with negative things about Kane the way Billy and Victor have. Jack asks, "Is it working?" Jill replies, "Well, that remains to be seen." Kane looks unnerved. "Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching." So let's dive into today's video. Here are your spoilers for the Thursday, October 9th, 2025, episode of The Young and the Restless. Nick Newman promised his ex-wife, Sharon, the mother of their children, that he would join her in Los Angeles. Then, Victor ordered his son to stay in Genoa City so that he could help deal with the ongoing threat of Kane Ashby and his plan to use artificial intelligence to take over Newman Enterprises and other businesses. Nick's loyal to his dad, but he's also loyal to Sharon and Noah, who is in Los Angeles too. On Thursday's show, watch for Nick to go rogue. We can only imagine that Nick is going to disobey his father and go to Los Angeles. If Nick promised Sharon that he'd be there, we can pretty much bet on Nick being there. Like Nick, Jack Abbott is fiercely loyal to his family. Like Victor, Jack wants to make sure Kane is not a threat to his family or his business. On Thursday's show, watch for Jack to protect his family's interests. Jack's all for creating an alliance with Victor to bring Kane down. However, his primary goal is to keep his family and Jabot Cosmetics safe. Jack may lean on Diane, his wife, for support as he protects his family's interests. Jack and Diane have a solid marriage at home and at the office. He regards her as not only a terrific wife, but also a valued colleague at Jabot. If indeed he's got access to sophisticated AI software that can damage companies, Kane is the most powerful person in Genoa City. Someone needs to reach him to get him to be reasonable. The job may require more than one person. On Thursday's show, watch for Lily, Kane's ex-wife, and Jill, Kane's surrogate mother, to try to confront Kane about his past. Is there something that happened to Kane in the past that could influence his current decision-making? If any two people can reach Kane, it's going to be the woman he loves and the woman he regards as a mom. The Young and the Restless, recap for Wednesday, October 8th, indicates that Victor Newman dropped a Kane Ashby bombshell on Jill Abbott, while Tessa Porter placed a label on her relationship with Daniel Romalotti. During the Tuesday, October 7th episode, Victor promised he would sway Jill's opinion of Kane, and he certainly delivered that on the October 8th show. Victor stunned Jill when he told her that Kane accumulated his Aristotle Dumas fortune from Colin Atkinson's last con. Victor revealed that Colin swindled the woman who owned Kane's current summer chateau in Nice before him, and proclaimed that Kane knew about this all along. Jill tried to act calm, cool, and collected as she exited the Newman ranch, requesting proof of Victor's claim before she left, but she was fiery mad as she walked away from the Newman estate. Victor had one simple request for Jill: to ask Kane for the AI software so she could give it to Victor and he could destroy it. Jill found that a hilarious proposition, but will she end up delivering the goods on this to ensure that Kane doesn't destroy the family businesses of many within GC that she holds near and dear to her heart? Speaking of Kane and that AI software, Jack Abbott paid the billionaire mogul a visit. The two talked about a wide range of topics, including Kane handing over that AI program so it could be destroyed. Kane thought that was pretty funny, considering that if he gave it to somebody, he wouldn't be able to fully trust that they would destroy the software. Kane also brought up the point that he'd also be worried that someone would try to come after his conglomerate with said AI program. While Kane came up with names to hand the software over to that ranged from Phyllis Summers to Billy Abbott, Nick Newman, or potentially Adam Newman, Jack suggested Jill. The two also talked about how Kane played Billy during Wyatt Eyre's October 8th episode. Jack was outraged and questioned why Kane would string Billy along twice, only to drop him. Kane noted that originally, he had genuinely wanted to snag Chancellor away from Victor to have Billy run the company for the sake of Billy's relationship with Jill. Kane was hoping Billy could prove to his mom that he isn't a complete dumpster fire by leading Chancellor successfully, but Kane lost faith in Billy and nixed the idea. Interestingly enough, as Kane and Jack wrapped up their conversation, Jill arrived on scene, ready to confront her pseudo-son with what Victor told her, and she didn't look pleased. Meanwhile, back at the Newman ranch, Nikki Newman questioned Victor about what he would do if Jill delivered that AI software. Would he destroy it or stab Jack in the back by going after Jabot? Victor gave Nikki a smug look as he grinned, but didn't exactly answer her. So it's clear he's got an entirely different plan on the go. Finally, Tessa and Daniel bonded over coffee during the Wednesday show while in the park. They talked about everything from how Sharon Newman is digesting the news about Mariah Copeland's night with that older man. Plus, they discussed Will Hensley's mental state and whether he's dangerous, as well as the idea of Tessa going to Boston to visit her wife at the clinic. Daniel supported Tessa through her highs and lows during the conversation and reminded her how lucky she was. After all, despite the drama, Mariah is still alive and safe in the Boston clinic. Whatever the reason for attacking Will, Mariah felt her life was in danger, and the fact that she's okay is a blessing. Tessa was reminded that Heather Stevens wasn't given that same grace, which also made her realize how lucky she was to have Daniel in her life. Tessa affectionately told Daniel he was more than a friend. He was her best friend, the young and the restless, spoilers note, that the two hugged after Tessa said this, but fans could literally see Daniel's heart breaking in two as the woman of his dreams placed him ever so gently into the friend's zone, somewhere he clearly doesn't want to be. The Young and the Restless spoilers are in for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. In tomorrow's episode, fans can expect Jack Abbott to push Kane Ashby to do the right thing. Victor Newman shares shocking news with Jill Abbott. Plus, Nikki Newman searches for answers. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. Let's start off with Jill and Nikki, who faced each other after a long time. At first, it seemed like things were going well as they bonded over what Catherine Chancellor would want. However, then the topic turned to Billy Abbott and Kane Ashby. That's when things got heated, and Jill doesn't see any reason to worry about Kane's activities. However, when Victor interrupts, he will have some news to share with Jill. This news ends up shocking her. So much so that later in the week, Jill and Lily Winters both confront Kane about those deceptive 6 years. Despite the confrontation with Kane, Jill still might take his side. It sounds like a similar dynamic to the one Victor had with Adam Newman and Victoria Newman. Billy feels like he's the scapegoat, while Kane gets all of Jill's support. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, October 8th, reveal that Jack will try to get Kane to do the right thing. While they were one close, that isn't the case anymore. At the same time, Jack could try to find common ground with the tycoon, maybe reminding him of what's truly important. Over with Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles. Expect the pair to continue getting under each other's skins. While Kyle claims to his parents that he's ready to get to work and save Jabot, I wonder if Audra will somehow intercept those plans, even unknowingly. There is also the Sally Spectra situation. Will this situation with Billy ruin her chances for funding her own company? Billy seems angrier than ever and blames his mother for pretty much everything. Does Sally really want to be with someone who will treat their own mother with such disregard? Sally needs to remember that one day Billy could turn on her, so stay tuned. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most on Wednesday, October 8th, 2025? Audra has been feeling lonely late, but fans have a good feeling she won't be alone for long. Audra has been lonesome lately on The Young and the Restless. What hasn't helped is that Kyle has reminded her that no one wants her. This moment led her to beg Nate's forgiveness. However, fans have a feeling that could change if her family is involved. Audra has been down on her luck lately. She lost Vibrante since she couldn't break up Kyle and Claire in time. Then, she lost Nate forever. He ended their relationship after he found out her dirty little secret in Nice. She begged for his forgiveness, but he still couldn't trust her. Audra has been on her own, aside from her friend Sally. Fans on one soap opera message board wonder whether she'll finally get a visit from her family. Kyle kept saying to Audra that she has no one in GC and that she should leave. Obviously, Audra/Zuleika is not going anywhere, so I think Roger Howarth is tied to her and Holden in California somehow, and will be her family member and maybe even her father, the original poster suggested. Maybe she will be related to Tamara Braun, who will join the cast. It would be nice to have a family member for Audra, one person responded. Some Y&R viewers think Braun would be the perfect person to play Audra's aunt. Others love the idea of Howarth being Audra's father. She revealed in the past that she had an alcoholic father who was abusive. Audra also mentioned that she's not close to her mom. In another soap opera thread, someone had the perfect suggestion on which actress could take on the role. I think Nassima Benchiou from Tony and Ziva could play Audra's mother. She looks like ZS. The original poster wrote, "To me, she reminded me of Victoria in a way," someone else commented. Nassima Benchiou certainly does resemble Audra. And like another poster commented, "She kind of reminds me of Victoria," another person wrote. However, some fans were opposed to the idea as the actress is 41 years old. But it wouldn't be the first time that an actress has played a slightly older age. Rebecca Budig is younger than Taylor Hayes, despite portraying her on The Bold and the Beautiful. Actually, Audra having a mother who gave birth to her at a very young age makes sense. Audra apparently had a tough upbringing, one fan noted. Viewers would like to know more about Audra's backstory, but it might be too late. What are your thoughts? Do you think Audra's family will join Genoa City? Let us know in the comments section. Kyle may finally find a way to take down Audra. Kyle's upcoming trip to California will unleash plenty of drama on the young and the restless. Although the trip is to win Claire back from Holden, Kyle might get sidetracked upon discovering information against his enemy, Audra. Kyle's life has been a mess since his breakup with Claire. Instead of taking responsibility for his role in their split, Kyle is blaming Audra. If Audra hadn't made a deal with Victor, then Kyle wouldn't have kissed her in order to expose the truth. Audra is still a thorn in Kyle's side, but at the moment, he's got more important stuff to focus on. Claire appears to be moving on from Kyle with Holden. To take her mind off Kyle, Claire agreed to accompany Holden on his trip to Los Angeles, but the two will have company on their trip. Kyle is heading to California to win back Claire. Although Kyle's main goal is to reunite with Claire, his trip will take an unexpected twist. Audra and Holden have an unsavory past that dates back to their time in Los Angeles. While living in the City of Angels, the two did something illegal. Neither Audra nor Holden want their secret to get out. However, it might when damaging information lands in Kyle's hands. Kyle wants Audra out of his life more than anything. However, she's made it clear she's not going anywhere, but now Kyle might have an ace up his sleeve in dealing with Audra. Kyle coming across Audra and Holden's secret is enough ammo to take down his two enemies. The secret is enough to ruin Audra's and Holden's lives, and Kyle holds all the cards. If they don't want their dark past getting out, then they need to cooperate. For Audra, she'll have to play nice and stay away from Kyle. The Abbott heir might take things to the extreme by ordering Audra to leave town, something she doesn't want to do. As for Holden, he's not going to get off so easy either. Kyle will use the secret to blackmail Holden into staying away from Claire. Kane's restless soul collided with Jack's demand for proof, leaving Jill to decide whether loyalty or legacy matters more at Chancellor. In the October 8th episode of The Young and the Restless, Kane Ashby's restless search for redemption clashed head-on with Jack Abbott's demand for proof, leaving Jill Abbott caught in the middle of a battle that reached far beyond family ties. What played out was not just a confrontation between two men, but a reckoning over Catherine Chancellor's legacy, Billy Abbott's fate, and whether Kane can ever be trusted again. Kane was weary, confessing to Jack that his choices left him questioning who he had become. It was a rare moment of vulnerability from a man known more for schemes than self-awareness. Jack seized on the crack, pressing Kane to prove he truly wanted change by destroying the AI program at the heart of his growing influence. But Kane balked. He insisted that surrendering the AI would be foolish, and worse, that Jack's motives were not as noble as he claimed. To Kane, Jack's talk of redemption sounded more like a play to seize power for himself. The argument spiraled into a familiar sore spot. Billy, don't. Jack accused Kane of exploiting Billy's insecurities, feeding his chaos instead of helping him heal. Kane countered that Billy's downward spiral was his own doing, and that anyone who kept believing Billy could be saved was deluding themselves. For Jack, his brother's flaws only strengthened his resolve to fight for him. For Kane, Billy embodied wasted potential, a reminder of why he refuses to put faith in promises of change. Their clash was less about Billy himself and more about the very definition of redemption. When Jill entered, the debate sharpened. Jack urged her to see that Kane's refusal to destroy the AI proved he hadn't changed. Kane leaned on Jill's history of defending him, reminding her that she had stood by him when no one else would. Jill's dilemma was clear: support Kane, risking Chancellor's reputation and Catherine's memory, or side with Jack and condemn Kane as irredeemable. For Jill, this was not just about business. It was about her identity as a woman who believes in second chances, even when they have burned her before. What made the standoff so explosive was its backdrop. Chancellor Industries has long stood as a symbol of Catherine's values, a company rooted in loyalty, resilience, and integrity. With Victor circling and corporate warfare intensifying, the question of whether Kane belongs anywhere near the company carries enormous weight. Jill's decision will shape not only Kane's path, but also whether Chancellor's legacy becomes defined by redemption or betrayal. Kane's refusal to bow to Jack's demand signals that he is not ready to let go of power, even if it costs him his chance at forgiveness. Jack's resolve to protect Billy puts him in direct conflict with Kane, and Jill's indecision leaves Chancellor Industries in limbo. The fallout is likely to ripple through every corner of Genoa City. Jill's loyalties will be tested, Billy's standing may further erode, and Kane's children and estranged family will be forced to reckon with what kind of man he truly is. The battle over redemption has only begun, and its consequences could redefine three families. The Young and the Restless spoilers show that think it's time to bring back Harrison Abbott's mom back into his life. Who is even raising this kid? Keep reading to find out why bringing back Tara Locke is a good idea for everyone. First of all, some background. Tara came to GC with that monster Ashlyn Locke and their son, Harrison. Long story short, socialite Tara had a one-night fling with Kyle in NYC and eventually told him that Harrison was his son. Kyle leapt into parenthood full throttle, but Harrison has never had a stable mother figure. Once Tara was jailed for embezzlement, Kyle's wife, Summer Newman, became his mom, and later his current GF, Claire Newman, took on the role. But neither woman is around right now for Harrison, and now Kyle spends all of his time begging Claire to take him back, which is a problem. So why would they need an additional problem in the form of Tara? Simple, so that Claire and Kyle can rebond fighting for custody of Harrison. Having Tara return would rile up Claire, who considers herself to be a substitute mom for Harrison. And of course, the green-eyed devil could come out as well. It's natural to think that Claire would be threatened by Tara's presence, as both Harrison's mom and Kyle's ex. But if Tara tried to wrangle Harrison away, we predict that Claire would align with Kyle in a custody fight, and in that case, they would be spending a lot of time together again. Plus, Kyle might be a better custodial parent candidate if he's married. To Claire. See where this is going? Tell us why in our fans, are you bored of Claire's current drama? If you want them back together, and would Tara returning be a good way to accomplish that? Or do you think that bringing back Tara is not a good idea for some reason? The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates reveal Sienna Bacall will be making her first appearance as Sharon Newman, and Nick Newman look for answers. Furthermore, Kyle Abbott is poised to take a surprising action that will surely leave Claire Newman in shock soon enough. During the week of October 6 through 10, Victor Newman will launch a media assault on Kane Ashby, with Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson rewarded. Jill Abbott and Lily Winters will react strongly as Kane's reputation is once again tarnished. This situation will leave Kane with questions regarding Colin Atkinson's widow scam and the funds used to establish Arabesque. Additionally, Tessa Porter and Daniel Romalotti Jr. will update Sharon on troubling news. This is concerning Mariah Copeland's recent business trip, leading to significant discoveries from their hotel investigation. During the week of October 6th, Jack Abbott will passionately ask Jill for assistance, but ultimately, he will go directly to Kane with his worries. Jack will urge Kane to cease all plans for dominating Genoa City and to leave Jabot out of it. Meanwhile, Danny Romalotti and Christine Blair will continue their wedding preparations as they make a significant decision that will impact their ceremony. On the other hand, Phyllis Summers is set to find herself in a scandal. There will be a compromising situation involving Phyllis, and we will find out if it relates to criminal activities or possibly a steamy encounter with Kane. From October 13-17, Sharon and Nick will work to uncover the issues surrounding Noah Newman. There's something troubling Noah that they haven't yet deciphered, but they hope to gain clarity when they speak with him face to face. However, they are about to become embroiled in a mystery that raises serious concerns about their son's safety. Noah will find himself in peril, prompting Nick, Sharon, and Detective Burrow to step in to rescue him. Additionally, Tamara Braun will debut as Sienna Bacall on October 14th, giving fans the opportunity to meet this Hollywood club owner and gradually learn more about her. Roger Howarth is slated to portray a mysterious stranger, but could he be a familiar face to fans? It's possible that Howarth is taking on the role of Tucker McCall, previously played by Trevor St. John, but we will keep you updated as more information about his character comes to light. Claire will also face some unexpected visitors, as Victoria Newman is set to arrive in LA, and then Kyle will appear to try to win Claire back. We have a feeling that Kyle's plan might not unfold as he wishes. The week of October 20-24, Claire is thrown into danger as well. It seems reasonable to transform this into a key overarching storyline, potentially one where Holden Novak's past intersects with Claire's present circumstances. If Claire is taken hostage along with Noah, it could result in a major crisis for the Newman family. Kyle might be thankful to be in Los Angeles if he needs to act quickly to rescue Claire from a hazardous situation. The Young and the Restless spoilers suggest that Kane will also face some hard choices regarding his future in GC, so make sure to stay tuned for what's coming. The Young and the Restless recap for Tuesday, October 7th, hints that Tessa Porter will provide an update on what she learned when she investigated Mariah Copeland's horror business trip, which includes the mystery man's identity. Plus, Nikki Newman will spar with Jill Abbott, so it's time to talk about Tuesday's Y&R show. The sad part is, Nikki and Jill started on pleasant terms when Jill arrived at the Newman Ranch. Nikki thanked Jill for selling Chancellor to Victor Newman, and Jill nicely confirmed that Catherine Chancellor would have approved of Nikki running her company. With that said, the niceties were cut short when Nikki blatantly asked Jill if she was going to help her, and Victor stopped Kane Ashby. As fans know, Kane has his sights set on taking over the companies from the three major powerhouse families in GC, the Newmans, the Abbotts, and potentially the Winters. Jill fluffed off Nikki at every turn during their conversation. At first, she pointed out that she had no real influence on Kane, and when Nikki pressed that Jill knew Kane was Aristotle Dumas before the world did, Jill shrugged off the idea that Kane was as diabolical as Nikki thought. Over at Society, Phyllis Summers entered to see Victor there, and she joined him at a table. The two sparred during their entire conversation, as Victor played mind games to see if he could get Phyllis to spill on Kane's plan, and Phyllis hurled some insults his way as well. Victor finally decided to leave the establishment. He paid the tab, only for Nick Newman to enter. With that said, instead of insults, Nick tried to encourage and build Phyllis up the best he could in an effort to sway her against working for someone as ruthless as Kane, especially considering what Kane was planning. Nick told his ex that she was enough, and she could do something more with her career, something better. But Phyllis reminded Nick that, unlike him, she doesn't have a rich dad who can hand her a dream job at a moment's notice. Phyllis ended up storming out of Society, demanding that Nick butt out of her affairs, much to Nick's frustration. Back to Jill and Nikki, Victor arrived home to find Jill there. Nikki relented about the fact that Jill wouldn't budge her stance on Kane, and with a smug look, Victor promised to sway her. Across town, Y&R recaps for the Tuesday, October 7th show note that Sharon Newman was at Crimson, gearing up to head to the airport for Los Angeles to visit Noah Newman. However, Tessa stopped her from doing so. She and Daniel Romalotti returned from the deep dive into Mariah's business trip that had since left her rattled, and they provided quite a lot of information. Much to Sharon's horror, Tessa relayed that she showed Mariah's picture to the staff at the hotel she stayed at during her business trip, and the bartender remembered her. He revealed that Mariah met up with an older gentleman whose name is Will Hensley, and the two connected over drinks. Tessa also found out that Will and Mariah were drinking, got close, kissing, and headed upstairs. But what happened after that seems far more disturbing than Mariah connecting with an older gentleman in general. When Sharon saw the photo of Will, she was shocked and believed that he may have taken advantage of her daughter. Still, Tessa interjected that Mariah had told her she had tried to kill an older gentleman that night, so it was safe for Tessa to assume that said older gentleman was Will, and he didn't hurt Mariah. It was the opposite. It's hard to know whether or not Mariah was intimate with Will, but Tessa was rattled at the fact that the staff noted Will checked out halfway through the night and did not want to wait until the morning to leave the hotel. He left in a rush, and while he was alive, he was also extremely shaken. The staff was unaware of Mariah's state the morning after, as she did a contactless checkout. Tessa reminded Sharon that Mariah had stated she began drinking as a way to process the trauma she endured from Ian Ward. Tessa noted that Will is around the same age as Ian and has the same body type, so perhaps something about Will triggered Mariah to do what she did, based on her Ian memories. Y&R recaps imply that Daniel had an even creepier theory. As Will didn't die, Daniel thought he may be seeking retribution on Mariah for the incident. The Young and the Restless spoilers state that Daniel believes Mariah could be in more danger than everyone realizes. So is this foreshadowing a potentially dire situation on the horizon for both Mariah and Tessa, along with anyone else in their orbit?